So I have here the foam and two pieces of canvas which I've cut to fit over it with a little bit of overlap. But before I can glue this canvas on, I first need to prepare the surface. The manufacturer has some sort of chemical coating on here that I need to remove. There's two ways I can remove it. One is by using isopropyl alcohol. The other way to do it is by sanding it with a very coarse sandpaper. I'm actually going to do both. The sandpaper really roughed up the surface here. And while that may not look very pretty, that will hopefully actually increase the ability for the canvas to bond to this by having this rougher surface for the glue to get into. But even then, foam is really strong under compression, but it's not so good under tension. It'll have a tendency to just tear right off. So one thing we can do is we can actually make a bunch of holes in the foam. The idea here is that the glue will seep into the holes and kind of act like little glue nails. All right, so now I just need to glue the canvas onto the foam. So I've got a foam sponge here to help spread the glue around. I've never used foam before. I've always used a bristle brush in the past, but I don't know where that brush went, so today we're going to try foam. So I'm going to apply the glue and then attach the canvas. Glue has about a 5-minute work time, so I gotta be reasonably quick here or it will start to harden before I have the canvas on. I'm going to let this dry, and while this is drying, one thing that I noticed was I think it'd be a lot easier to get this on and get good penetration of the glue if I had a wallpaper roller. So I'm going to run over to the hardware store before they close real quick and get that and see if that helps the glue penetrate through the fabric evenly. Some places you can see it's coming through, others still seem a bit dry, and so I'd really like to get the best possible application out of this. I may also put something down on the table so I don't have to clean the glue off afterwards. So I will be back, and next time hopefully I'll remember to clip the mic on. Alright, so the first side's been drying for an hour or two. I need to wait 24 hours before I put real stress on it, but I'm going to put the second piece of canvas on the back so that these will both be ready to test tomorrow. So this project uses a lot of glue, but turns out a gallon of glue is cheaper than a gallon of paint. Alright, so I have this all covered in glue now. I'm going to add the canvas. So I did go to the local hardware store, but they did not have the wallpaper roller that I was looking for. I'll pick one up when I get the porch paint that we're going to use for the next step of this. I'm just going to do this with my hands for now. So I'm going to try to get this on here nice and smooth. Get it stretched out and make sure I get a good bond. Trying to smooth out any wrinkles. So there's two aspects to this project. One is it needs to be strong enough to work, but I also want it to look good. So even though things like wrinkles may or may not affect the strength of the final project, they will definitely make it not look as good. And if I'm going to spend the time and effort and money to build this, I want it to look good. So, alright, so it's been about 48 hours since I glued this thing together, so the glue's had ample time to set. So now I'm just going to redo the weight test again with a 1 pound weight and see how much less deflection there is. Now, I can already tell you just from feeling it and from putting the weight on there without even doing any measurements that it is already way stiffer. But let's do the math. With no weight, this measures at 3,656. Now we will put the weight on the center of the beam and we get 3,228. And then we will turn this over, do it again. So with no weight, we have a height of 3,411. And with a weight on the center, we have 3,485. Yes, 3,485. All right, now time to do some math. Now we can calculate our new deflection and modulus of elasticity values. The deflection for side 1 was 0.428 inches, and for side 2 it was minus 0.074 inches. Now if we think about that value, it doesn't make sense at all. It says we put a weight on it, and instead of the board bending down, it bent upwards. Unfortunately, I can't redo these measurements because I've already painted the fabric, so we're just going to be bad scientists and throw out the data that we do not agree with. We will keep the same moment of inertia, which is a small lie. Technically, the board is a little bit thicker now that it has the fabric glued onto it. And now we can calculate the modulus of elasticity using the same formula as before. This time we see that we now have a stiffness of 5,191 pounds per square inch. So that says that we increased our stiffness approximately 145%. So in the next episode, we will add some paint onto this, which should make it stiffer and increase its waterproofness and make it look a little bit nicer.